the body wasn't there, the police didn't arrest me because of that. But I didn't know whether to feel happy about it. Just like Satoko had said, I'd failed to kill her uncle. The body wasn't there, so I was forced to conclude as much. No matter what strange natural disaster, coincidence, or miracle it might have implied. In order to free Satoko, I became a demon, and this abnormal world was my reward. Yes, metaphorically, I had fallen into the demon world. But if that price had been in exchange for the life of Satoko's uncle, then that would have been fine. Since Satoko's uncle was still alive, still shackling her to him, I needed to become a demon once again. One more time. No, as many times as it took. I would kill that man over and over again until Satoko was liberated. I had already awoken. Good morning, sunshine? I looked at the clock to see that it was early in the morning, at just about 5. It was already light outside. Once I'd hardened my resolve to become a demon again, I could feel my whole body teeming with the awakened power once more. Well, at least they had let us go. Although it still begs the question what A.a. is gonna do. Yes, it did say that Keiichi was going complete bonkers. A.a. wouldn't let Keiichi go scot-free now with all this, even if the police is no longer involved in this. Time wasn't an issue. No matter what, I'd do it. I got myself up. The exhaustion from the past 2 days was completely swept away, and I didn't even feel sleepy anymore either. I slowly rose and made sure my body was moving like I wanted it to. I could feel blood flowing through each and every one of my fingers. As I got dressed, I let my mind wander, and had a strange thought. These 2 days, while I said it was for Satoko's sake, the only thing on my mind has been killing. I've said it was for Satoko, but while actually carrying out the act, I had completely forgotten about Satoko, albeit only temporarily. Maybe initially it was for Satoko's sake, but now I was just a demon, killing for the sake of killing. Oh God. Keiichi, I really don't want to see you like this. You gotta be kidding me. And as a result, I'd sunk into a role fit for such a demon. Maybe he was the same for Satoshi. He resolved himself to kill his own to save Satoko, became a demon, then disappeared from the sunlit Hinamizawa, vanishing into the demon world. Which meant that, after all was said and done, I'd met the same fate as him. I tried to avoid making the same mistakes, but it happened anyway. Which meant that maybe Satoshi was here. Satoshi had come to this world a year before me, so he would be here somewhere. Then, surprised, I stopped walking. Frickin' jingle bells. It's no longer Christmas, goddammit. And I still didn't get my Yumineko Christmas episode. And there was the second set of footsteps I'd grown so used to hearing.
お前、ひょっとして、サトシなのか?
The empty, lifeless air wouldn't give me an answer. But I felt a strange kind of relief that there was someone there, and that Satoshi had stuck with me the whole time. Let's go, Satoshi. Once more. This time, we will set Satoko free for sure. Alright, well... Apparently, we escaped for yet another day. The police surely has let us free. It doesn't necessarily mean that we are scot-free forever, so... I'm still gonna have to say that the end is gonna come soon for Keiichi because of this. because of the whole curse and all that. But at least we have some extra chance here to see some stuff. I quietly slipped out of the house so my parents wouldn't notice. If they caught me now when I'd be out way too late for 2 days now, they'd give me a really angry talking to. I didn't have the time to allow for that to happen. Today, I would put an end to it. If the dead body disappeared, then I didn't have to bury it. I would just burn it to ashes, and then take them with me, so I could kill him again every time he resurrected. God damn! I'd do it again. I'd kill him again, and this time, I'd set her free. Outside, the morning light was so beautiful as to stagger belief. I went to the storage room to find weapons with which I could kill him for sure. Blunt or not, it didn't matter to me. Right now, I didn't need to care whether someone saw, or if the police came. This world had gone crazy after all. A world where I'd shown up at the festival and had fun, even though I wasn't there. Even if the police arrested me, I'd probably end up going right back home as if nothing had happened. You know, I swear to God, if we're talking about the girls hiding Keiichi's murder and pretending as if Keiichi was there, if that were the case, couldn't have one of the girls just came to Keiichi and whispered to his ears, "Hey, this is all a bluff. We're gonna talk about this a little bit later. Like, maybe at the treasure hunting place. That's why we should go there. You, me, and Mion." As I'm talking as Rena right over here. And we're gonna talk about this. But no. Instead, they made the Keiichi confused as fuck. If that were the case. Again, another level of miscommunication. It's just... like, it's so stupid it kinda makes me think that it is true that there was somebody there. I mean, that thing that Rena said about the multiple guns being used by Keiichi. Like, I was gonna say that is such a Keiichi thing to do, but can anybody even predict that kind of thing? Like, what the fuck? I don't know. Even if the police arrested me, I'd probably end up going right back home as if nothing had happened. Both me and the other Keiichi Maebara. Even without me, he'd fill in. I could vanish from Hinamizawa without anyone noticing. So basically, I didn't care if I was mistakenly killed. 'Cause the only reason I'm thinking that would be the case is because Rena and Mion wanted Keiichi to go to the dam, to where the garbage is, so they can talk about this stuff there. Otherwise, I don't know. Unless Rena and Mion took the body of Teppei and hid it there? As a better spot? Does this mean that Rena and Mion actually were there, witnessing Teppei's murder? And then after Keiichi disappeared, they both went and dug up the body and put it like at the damn place? Could that be it? Like, maybe they saw Keiichi and Takano interact with each other and they thought, uh-oh, this isn't good. This spot is compromised. Let's help Keiichi and find like another place to hide the body. And they thought that where the treasure like hunt was, like where the place is for treasure hunting would be good. I don't know. Even if I died, Keiichi Maebara would remain. After all, this isn't the world I belong in. If I was going to be killed mistakenly for Satoko's sake, then that was just part of my duty as her needy. As those desperate thoughts became serious, the morning air felt more refreshing to me, strangely enough.
これは怖いな。こいつにするか。
It was a hatchet meant for chopping thick firewood. Oh boy. Its hefty steel blade was sinister, almost as though it was a tool meant for killing people. couldn't exactly take it out in public like that. So I wrapped it in some old newspaper and tossed it into the basket of my bike.
連日、悪い用事に使ってばかりで悪いな。今日も頼むぜ。俺の足。
I apologized to my bike for some reason. For the past 3 days, I've only used it for dangerous things. I've been riding this bike ever since I lived in my old town. Okay, a random character development for Keiichi and his bike. We're gonna learn some more about his relationship with the bike, I guess, all of a sudden. I could walk most places I wanted to go, so I hadn't used it all that much. My mom had bought it for me when I entered cram school, thinking it would be a convenient way to get to the station, since it was far away. So I always used it to get back and forth from cram school. I only ever put textbooks and class materials in the front basket too. I never tried to put a hatchet that I'd be using to kill someone here. Well, there is a first for everything. When I came to Hinamizawa, life finally felt fun. I met the best friends ever, and had some of the greatest times ever. Those times might have been shattered now, but it was my greatest wish that I could get them back, even if I had to risk my life to do it. And that's how fun those times had been. I killed someone, and now I was at it again, needing to kill someone. Murder was a crime. I didn't believe that people should ever think murder was okay. But still, the times I'd had were enjoyable enough for me to commit such a crime. My friends were irreplaceable, and the time spent with them a treasure. Hanging out, laughing, sometimes tricking each other, but always in a friendly way. I didn't fear committing any crime, as long as it was for the sake of taking back those times that gave my heart so much pleasure. Yes, this was a value I decided to uphold. It wasn't something I learned from a school teacher. It was a noble path that I chose for myself. I thought back to when I first come to Hinamizawa. About how on the very first day, Satoko had welcomed me via a blackboard eraser with a rock in it. That welcome really surprised the heck out of me. She would laugh, get angry, cry. She was never boring. She was obviously the most childlike one among us. She was actually lively, full of vim and vigor, and good at meddling in other people's businesses. That went for Mion, Rena, and Rika-chan too. Wasn't Satoko the one at the center of everyone's laughing and banter? And she sure is the clown of the group. Well, and Keiichi. Like, they're both clowns. Like, who would be the bigger clown of them? Satoko would try to look cool. And then Mion would make fun of her endlessly. Like, yeah, I still remember, like, the first days of this particular chapter when we made fun of Satoko for not being able to tell which is a cauliflower and which is a broccoli. Then Satoko would cry, which would put Rena in a state of ecstasy. Which is kind of weird, given the fact that she knows how to cook as well, so you would think that she would know by now. Rika-chan would be greatly delighted. And I happened to get mixed up in it. We would always fool around like that. He was lonely when someone wasn't around. But if I had to name one for whom it was the worst, it would have been Satoko. Her smile was everyone's smile. Ever since she stopped smiling, so did the rest of us. Oh. And it also makes me think of this song, which, from what I remember, it's called Sunrise, which was introduced in this chapter. It does fit Satoko, in the sense that, well, we know the sun as being orangey yellow, just like her hair. And also, when you think of the sun, you kind of think of smiles and such. So it does fit Satoko. And for the rest of us, not smiling was the same as dying. It was just like when I was suddenly going to cram school every day, just to maintain my unchanging test scores. So basically, we were nothing when she wasn't smiling. She was full of hot air, but she was our princess, cute and unhateable. In that case, I was her knight, searching for the dragon's castle in order to win her smile back.
ナイトなら武器は剣だろ。ツーハンデッドのかっこいいやつ。錆びた肉厚のナタで挑むナイトは、多分古今東西俺一人だな。
Yeah. It will be the first time hearing of a knight using a hatchet in order to kill a dragon. And we're about to do that real soon. And then I saw an old person at the ridge of the field waving to me.
おや？圭一くんかい。
Oh.
朝のサイクリングかいね。
おはようございます。
I reflexively waved back in a refreshing way. Should I really have been feeling so happy, waving like that? Satoko's house will be right past this road, going beyond the rice paddies. The cicadas had woken up too, and the next thing I knew, I was the audience to their daily chorus. I gave myself a hit or two in the head, and drove away my merry morning mood. Alright. Let's pay close attention to what is happening here. Let's go and see who is inside the house. I took a deep breath, then tilted my head back, quelling my pointless excitement. The body, it wasn't there. Its absence either meant my killing him had been an illusion, or that I killed him and he'd risen from the dead. If I was at the festival, then maybe I should have considered it an illusion. Coach probably thought that way, which is why he treated me like a lunatic. But it being an illusion was just impossible. I killed him without a doubt. Without a doubt. If it had been an illusion, then that would make all this Hinamizawa I was in right now an illusion. If that was the case, then here's how it would end up. I was actually in a vegetative state due to a traffic accident, and I was currently dreaming in a hospital bed about how great it would be to spend time with friends in rice paddies like this. Wait, what? Where the fuck is this coming from? That was a terrifying thought, though. If this was an illusion, then the only possible answer was that Peter had resurrected. It would make him a literal monster. Yeah, I don't know how I would feel about this entire story happening in Keiichi's mind. Like all of it. But if he was such a monster, then I was no less than a monster myself. I didn't hesitate to kill someone, and I could even wield curses. Takano-san had died probably because I cursed her. Or maybe that was a little much. If Coach and Oishi died too, like I cursed them too yesterday, then I believe it. I set my bicycle aside and went to take a look. His motorbike wasn't here. Okay, good. Well, of course it wasn't. I sent it down to hell that night, throwing it into the Onigafuchi swamp. Or maybe, just like how the corpse wasn't here, maybe the motorbike didn't get thrown into the swamp either. Nah, it has to be still there. The fact his bike wasn't here might have been because he had gone to town and hadn't come back. Not necessarily because I'd thrown it into the swamp. If our uncle wasn't around, and that was convenient on its own. Now I'll just show myself in, then wait for him to return, sharpening my hatchet. If he was there. Forgotten sensations came back to my gut. A feeling of tension rose within me. The sensation was like poison, dulling my actions, but it could also be the trigger to allow me to awaken to my superhuman, otherworldly self. Yep. I mean, how many seconds will it take us to do the deed correctly this time? Well, it will surely be less than 1,500 seconds at this point. I held the hatchet, still wrapped in newspaper. Its weight in my hands was profound, sinister, and reliable. I hadn't put on my watch, so I didn't know what time it was, but it was probably still a little before 7. Satoko would probably be awake, preparing breakfast and her lunch. But her uncle would probably still be lazing around in bed. A guy like him probably would have stayed up late drinking, and probably always slept until noon. I considered ringing the doorbell and having Satoko open the door for me, but if her uncle woke up at the sound, I'd waste my chance of him still being asleep. If Satoko saw me sneaking aside without ringing the doorbell, she'd be surprised. If I ran into her, what would I say? I've come to kill your uncle for you, so be sure to stay quiet, please. Like, Keiichi doesn't give a fuck anymore at this point about the hows and such. Like, he is literally, like, if we are to say that Teppei is still alive and he's, like, right there, he would just murder him, like, right then and there in front of Satoko, wouldn't he? That would be like making Satoko responsible for his death. Be quiet and go wait outside. Maybe that would do it. Okay, well, at least Keiichi is still thinking about Satoko a little bit here. How would Satoko react to that? She'll probably try and get me to give up on killing him. I would have to lie somehow to get her to go outside. Satoko didn't need to know that a murder was going to occur in this house. I couldn't quite think of a good lie to tell her, but I couldn't do much just standing around like this. I made up my mind and grabbed the doorknob. Alright, let's go, Keiichi. Let's see how this story is gonna end up this time. Then slowly turned it and pulled. And it wasn't locked. The gap between the door and the wall steadily grew larger. It wasn't locked. The chain wasn't even on. The oppressive smell of life in Satoko's house hit me. At the entrance, there were a few pairs of shoes and sandals. Okay. Well, do you recognize, like, adult shoes? Maybe some that are missing? I couldn't tell whether he was here or not just by looking at them. I could hear a television on somewhere. Oi. Yep. Typical room of a drunk bastard. The television was in the messy dining room. There was food scattered about the table, giving an impression decidedly different from a happy family's mealtime. Meals were for eating food while thanking the person for making it. Meaning whatever occurred in this dining room wasn't a meal. No, nobody in sight. No sign of anyone either. But with the television on, he must have been close. Could he have anticipated my coming and be hiding, waiting for me? The tension I felt was so thick, so tight that I thought he would choke me. The newspaper wrapping the hatchet's thick blade didn't hamper its power at all. I tightened my grip on it, then, very carefully, took a look around. Where had those peaceful things from before I arrived here gone? Even the sound of sweat bubbling up on my brow got on my nerves. And then, I looked at the table and realized something. Huh? This wasn't breakfast. The grains of boiled rice were all hard and dried up. Then, was it last night's dinner? I left the dining room, keeping vigilant, went down the hallway, and found the stairs to the second floor. When the man was playing with his friends, he looked out of a second-story window. It was highly possible that the room was his own, and that he slept there. I tiptoed up the edges of the stairs, quietly climbing, without making a sound. Wonder if that is dinner from 2 nights ago. In which case, Satoko did not clean that. I couldn't hear any kind of snoring. I didn't hear anything up there. I went through a few rooms, slowly and quietly opening the paper doors, checking the side. But I still couldn't find anyone around. Not even Satoko? To search more efficiently, I got down on the floor and pressed my ear right up to it. I could hear the television in the dining room, and a low hum, perhaps of boiling water. It was then that I started to harbor some feelings of suspicion. This house wasn't right. It seemed like people had been here since the TV was on, but it wasn't normal for nobody to be around this early in the morning. Wait, hold on a second. I silently descended the stairs and went back into the dining room. I looked at the food scattered about, completely dried up rice, an overturned bowl of miso soup, the package for a side dish bought at the supermarket. I tell Satoko had definitely been the one who made this. The food was far from Mion's perfection or Rena's gentleness, but it was sincere, judging by how she cooked for me at my house, and for the type and amount of side dishes. I deduced the meal was from last night. The number stamped into the food package read 830620. June 20, 1983. That was yesterday. And there was food for 2. Which meant that this was last night's dinner, and Satoko's uncle would have been here then. Okay, so apparently Satoko was still preparing dinner, thinking that Teppei is still alive, and yet he is untouched. I wonder what is going on in Satoko's mind right now. Like, where is she? Stop it, Keiichi. Don't even think about saying the word impossible again. Anyway, her uncle was here last night. That much was the truth. I don't know. He had found fault with Satoko's food, thrown the bowl of miso soup and flung the rest everywhere. Hidden deep within my feelings of calm and composure was lit a flame of anger and curse. Should I have ever shown this man any mercy? Bump. I heard the sound again, the one from before, like a water boiler. What was it coming from? Is it from bathroom? The first floor? But where? The bathroom, maybe? I could hear the noise coming from the other side of the frosted glass at the far end of the changing room. It had to have been the sound of the water boiler for the bath. Steam wasn't shutting the glass door, and the heat from it was leaking into the changing room where I was standing too. My misgivings deepened. People didn't normally take a bath this early in the morning. if one did, it would mean then this house. Time had been stopped ever since some moment last night. Well, we did learn that Teppei would make Satoko take a bath like 3 times a day. Because he thinks that she stinks a lot. Like she abuses Satoko in that manner that she would take a bath. Maybe even at abnormal hours too. Whistle, whistle, whistle. So does this mean that Satoko is taking a shower right now? Or a bath? Was it being reheated? The water boiler in the bathroom had been active this whole time. I checked in a clothing basket. I saw Satoko's familiar uniform stuffed in it. The uniform had stains and dried rice stuck to it. Certainly not something she could wear today. It was probably from the miso soup at the dinner table yesterday. I looked hard at the frosted glass, but I couldn't see anything through all the steam. And then, an electric surge ran through my mind, and a terrible premonition came over me. Could she? She couldn't possibly have been in there since last night. That would be impossible. But no, now it's alright now. Nothing was impossible. I gulped audibly, then quietly pulled aside the glass door. Oh God. Oh God. No. 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 I'm hitting my limit. I'm hitting my limit. I swear to God. Like, I'm gonna see something horrible right here. Oh God. Please don't do this to me. Please don't. Please don't. Hot, steaming air burst out of the slight opening. The fan wasn't on in the changing room, so he went completely white with the steam. Like I really. Like, I'm thinking that someone died there, that's for sure. I really don't want to think that Satoko committed suicide there. Please don't. Please. Just as the hot vapor poured into the changing room, cooler air also flowed into the room with the bath. And I just heard, due to being hit by that air, a very weak moan. Oh my God. That was all I needed to know who it was.
Satoko!
No answer. Satoko was in the bathtub, surrounded by a thick layer of rising steam. Well, she was moaning, weakly, which means that she's still alive. The top half of her body was leaning over the edge of the tub, and she was passed out. The water boiler kept on making a whistling noise, as if angered. I could see the gas flame through a small window. It was roaring at full force, completely blue. Satoko's entire body was boiled red and flaccid, as though her bones had melted away. She almost like a doll, as she lay there unconscious. Oh my God. I wasn't sure how many seconds passed as I stared in complete bafflement. I came back to my senses and promptly shut off the boiler. Okay. And then I dragged Satoko's small body out of the bathtub. The water in it was as hot as the water in public baths. Was she in this boiling water for the entire night? She'll die. She'll die! Satoko's body was lighter than I expected, as I laid her on the floor and wrapped her in a towel. I went back into the bathroom and opened up the vent, creating a path for a cool breeze to come through, okay? Upon the breeze hitting her, Satoko moaned again.
大丈夫かサトコ俺だケイチだわかるか聞こえるか
Satoko recognized me and muttered a response, but I couldn't really tell what she was saying. Her eyes were muddy and unfocused. I could tell she wasn't completely conscious. Upon closer inspection, her limbs and waist were twitching slightly. This was way worse than normal overheating. This was dangerous. Didn't they call this heat stroke? Okay, I truly was thinking of the worst case scenario where she basically committed I mean, she probably was gonna commit suicide right over here, but we saved her in time. But I was thinking that maybe she cut herself, like, in the bathtub and committed suicide like last night, and she was dead by this point. But no, she's still alive. Think, what would the teacher do if a girl passed out in the middle of summer during a marathon in gym class or something? I turned the water faucet in the kitchen all the way on and soaked a towel in it. Alright, good. And then I took the cold towel and pressed it to Satoko's forehead. Okay? Satoko reacted harshly to the coldness and let out a muffled voice. For burns. Right. You would soak the burnt spot under running water. Then, could I run cold water in the shower and cool her off like that? No. Like, it would be too much. If it was that sudden, it wouldn't be good for her heart. And she'd go into shock. I think I read that once before. This was about as much nursing as I could possibly give her. And if more than this, it would be too much. For the likes of an amateur.
大丈夫か、サトコ。もう大丈夫だからな。必ず俺が、ニーニーが助けてやるからな。5039。
5039?
5040。
Huh? What was Satoko reciting under her breath? I brought my ear to her mouth to better make out the mysterious spell-like words she kept saying. And at that moment, I understood what they were for.
サトコ、お前、数を数えてるのか?
The fuck? What are you even counting for?
なんで?
People tell little kids in the bath to count to 100 a lot, right? Satoko was counting like that. But 5039?
バカ野郎! お前の家の風呂はいくつ数える決まりになってんだよ!
I doubted my ears, and doubted her common sense. 10,000?
ふざけるなバカ野郎! 1万なんて数えられるバカがどこにいるんだよ! 数えられるわけねえだろ! その前に湯だって死んじまうに決まってんだろ! どうしてこんなことに! おじ、バカ.
Last night, her uncle flew into a rage at the dinner she'd made, saying it stunk and was inedible. Well, I don't know if it was last night, but Satoko would totally think that Teppei would tell her to do that. Satoko didn't understand what on earth he meant. He was much different than what she usually made for him. Maybe he hated the smell of the pickled vegetables she brought in particular. Her uncle then decided the stink was originated from Satoko, and showed it at her that she never ever took baths. And then he put Satoko in the boiling water and told her not to come out until she counted to... Jesus. I snapped and exploded. Raising the newspaper-wrapped hatchet, I stampeded through the house. I searched for anything. Traces, signs, smells, vibrations, heartbeats. With a war cry, I raced up the stairs with such force I could have stomped a hole through them. Then I found the futon in the room I thought to be her uncle's. And well aware he wasn't sleeping in it, I bashed it with a hatchet. Did he run into the closet? I bust the entire closet down, door and all. And if he's not there, maybe there's a secret door. Any switches or levers in the walls here? I smashed into wall after wall with the hatchet, crushing them. Dust rose into the air, and broken pieces scattered about the floor. I smashed all the glass windows too, for good measure. After I destroyed everything beyond recognition in our uncle's room, my reason finally kicked in and surprised my emotions. Anyway, her uncle wasn't in the house right now. I had to leave killing him until later. Right now, I had to do something about Satoko. I went back to the changing room. Satoko was still lying limp on the floor. There was nothing more an amateur like me could do for her. Well then, surely I'm gonna think about that scream for a good while now. I needed to take her to the clinic. Coach had treated me like a lunatic yesterday and tried to lock me up in a mental hospital. I never wanted to see his damn face again, but I still needed to go to the infirmary one more time. I needed to have a doctor look at Satoko. I thought about putting her in the dirty uniform lying in the laundry basket, but I had no experience dressing someone, so it would be pretty difficult. Shit, I don't have time to be wasting here. I eventually gave up on clothing her and decided to carry her in her bath towel. The clinic was close to Satoko's house. It would be way faster to carry her there than to call 119 and get an ambulance. I threw the biggest towel I could find over her and prompted her to stand.
立てるか。俺が診療所までおぶって行ってやるから。
ありがとう。ですわ。
Her words sounded clearer than before. She was starting to come back. I cried tears of relief just knowing she'd improved even a little bit. Okay, good. Satoko turned over so she was lying on her face, and then put up a weak struggle to get up on one knee. I smoothly swept her up and put her on my back. The towel I put on her seemed like it was about to fall off.
バスタオル。痛い。
Yeah, it sure would hurt.
すぐ着くから。しばらくの間だけ我慢してろ。
It didn't hurt one bit to carry Satoko. She was light. Too light. The lightness actually made me uneasy. Outside, it had gotten hotter, as though eager to attack Satoko. Yeah, no doubt that the sun will start hurting her as well. It is literally like skin burn. Fucking cicadas. Why didn't I have to choose this morning to get so hot out? I didn't have time to swear at them. The clinic was this way. Hoisting Satoko on my back, I broke into a trot. The hilly road to the clinic, with which I had never had difficulties before, was now torturous. Big beads of sweat formed on my brow, and at some point, my breath had grown faint. The hatchet in my belt was heavy and made it hard to walk. I considered leaving it, but I couldn't let it go, at least not while Satoko's uncle was still breathing. The signboard for the Ariakey clinic came into sight, but I quickly noticed something was odd. So I stopped. Several red revolving lights were flashing at the clinic. What? 3 police cars were parked in the parking lot with their lights on. There didn't need to be much else to inform me something had happened. I didn't want to see Coach, so I planned to leave Satoko in the clinic waiting room and give the receptionist a message. But with a police officer Oishi here, I couldn't go inside so carelessly.
何ですの？ パトカーがいっぱいいますですわよ。
I gently put Satoko down in the shade of the thicket.
わからない。様子を見てくるから、しばらくここにいろ。
レディをバスタオル1枚でこんなとこに置いてくなんてなってませんわね。
Yeah, well, you can punish your Nini a little bit later. Not right now.
それだけ悪態がつけりゃ大丈夫だ。
I'll be right back, I added, getting to my feet. Cautious of my surroundings, I hid myself behind a car and got closer to the officers grouped at the clinic's entrance. I overheard an officer wearing a necktie, probably their leader, and a white-robed doctor having a discussion about something. The doctor didn't seem to be Coach. He was one of those who Coach told to make the tea yesterday.
じゃあつまり最初に見つけたのは朝当番のあなただったと。それでどんな感じだったんです？
事務室の所長席のソファーに座って居眠りをしているように見えました。
で、机の上に水差しと空き瓶になった睡眠薬があったんで、あなたはすぐに睡眠薬で自殺したんだと考えたと。
What?
それで？
Don't tell me that it's Ariakey.
高熱と瞳孔の拡大に重度の意識障害も見られました。睡眠薬中毒の典型的な重症例だと思いましたので、直ちに対応に入りました。
警察も救急も呼ばずに？
ここは病院で私は医師ですよ。生命が危険な状態にあるなら、直ちに治療して当然です。
ああ、まあいいからいいから。それで？
呼吸が不正常だったので、人工呼吸を施しました。合わせて呼吸刺激薬を投与。効果が出なかったので、人工呼吸器の準備をし。
ああ、はいはい。それでつまり、いろいろ頑張ったけど、結局ダメだったと。そういうわけですよね。通報は死んでから直ちに？
はい。救うことができず、とても残念です。
Just then, a radio in one of the police cars started to buzz, producing a broken mechanical voice. God, don't tell me that it's Ariakey. That is just something I did not expect to happen, like right here. Even if that's the case, Keiichi's totally gonna think that it's because he cursed him. Which would be good in his eyes, because he wanted him dead too, because of the betrayal. Still, like, what the... What is going on in this village?
こちら本部、こちら本部。小宮山さん、聞こえますか？どうぞ。
もしもし、小宮山です。ああ、お疲れ様です。睡眠薬での自殺みたいですね。遺書の類はなし。
Suicide? What the heck were they talking about? Someone had committed suicide at a clinic. But who? I wish Takano-san dead, and she died the next day. And yesterday, I wished Coach was dead. Then, could he have...
普段から睡眠薬を常用していたとかは？
あまり知りません。
日頃、疲れたとか死にたいとか、そんなこと言ってました？
入江先生は普段からああいう性格でしたから。とてもそんな風には。
So, I was right. Irie sensei. They were talking about Coach. Jesus freaking Christ. Like how? Why? Who? Coach killed himself. Why would he do that? There couldn't been any reason he wanted to die. Is it a curse? I mean, I was gonna say that wouldn't be possible, because he didn't show like any signs of stress or anything like that would make him go complete bonkers. He seemed like a pretty chill dude. I was gonna say that, but then there's Tomitake, who's basically in the same range as Irie. And yet he died because of the curse. Because of whatever illness the mind had. Well, if he had issues or something like that, if that was the case, then he surely hid it pretty well. The only reason that came to mind was that I wanted him dead. This world was insane. If I wanted someone dead, they'd die. That was the kind of world this was. Then, what about Oishi? What happened to him? If people really died because I wanted them to, and something should have happened to him too. Yeah, that's like, I truly do not believe that it's because of Keiichi putting like curses on people, like, you get a curse, and you get a curse, and you get a curse. Because if that's the case, then why are we having such a trouble with Teppei here all of a sudden? With him being dead. Which, he should be dead. It's just that we're having a hard time confirming it, apparently.
そちらに応援が向かいました。課長からそちらは応援に任せて大石社の捜索に戻るとのことです。
了解しました。
Searching for Oishi's car. Oh my god. What kind of cosmic coincidence is going on right over here where both Oishi and Irie would end up dead in similar fashion to how Keiichi wanted to?
じゃあすいません。こっちに今応援が来てるそうですから、現場はこのままにしておいてください。おい、行くぞ。
The officers nodded and sped up into the patrol cars. Did they just say, searching for Oishi's car? Searching for his car. That meant he had gone missing? Takano-san, Coach, and Oishi. When I wished for it, the very next day, they disappeared. No matter how angry you were when you said you wished someone was dead, it didn't normally happen. Everyone knew just wishing for it would make them dead. That's why people could utter such curses so lightly. At least Keiichi is at least thinking that right now. He is fully aware of that kind of thing. But the curses I uttered were being granted. At the time, I hadn't even been walking. And yet, tap. I heard a footstep. And it wasn't only one this time. Tap, tap. They came from behind. And they stood right behind me, reaching a hand for my shoulder. Please tell me it's you, Satoko.
一体何事なんですの？
サトコか。
Are you sure they gave us a scare there for a split second?
脅かすなよ。
驚いたのはこっちでしてよ。いきなり大声を出さないでくださいまし。
It was Satoko. Her eyes were still unstable and focused, but she seemed able to at least walk on her own now. She looked far better now compared to her earlier exhausted state.
具合はどうなんだ？もう大丈夫なのか？
まだ頭が痛いですけど、いつまでもこんな格好で表にいられませんもの。
She gave a smile, a show of courage, but her legs were still shaky. My poor baby.
それより、これは一体何事なんですの？今、警察が話してるのを聞いてた限りじゃ。
監督が自殺したらしい。
え？
Satoko was at a loss for words. Her face grew paler and paler, and I could tell she was doubting her own ears.
ケイチさん、それ、本当ですの？何かの聞き間違いじゃないんですの？
No. We heard it ourselves.
確かにそう聞いたよ。入江先生が睡眠薬で自殺したって。
Satoko went down on her knees and broke out in tears.
嘘ですわ。監督が自殺なんて、そんなの絶対に。
He really didn't seem like that kind of person, indeed. As I watched Satoko crying and clawing at the grass, I felt myself trapped by guilt and remorse. I got so angry that Coach was treating me like a madman yesterday, that he'd betrayed me. Then I thought he'd be better off dead. But even Coach, who to me deserved to die, still must have had people who loved and respected him. It's like Satoko here. Ah, great. Now Cage is gonna feel guilt for this. In my selfish, egotistical anger, I wished for his death, and he was granted. And now Satoko was crying hysterically as a result. Yeah, Higurashi, can you please not let us hear Satoko cry again? Just do it like this. Just tell us that she's crying without letting us hear it, please. Like, I don't want to hear her cry again. The guilt tore at my heart. I worked myself up to murder for Satoko's sake. I decided I wanted Satoko to be happy, but was that really all it took? Murder meant taking someone's life. It meant making everyone attached to that person sad. In Satoko's uncle's case, of course, nobody would be sad. So I didn't feel a sense of guilt at all. But Coach's death was different. I had wanted to make Satoko happy, and that had resulted in me inflicting a deep sadness upon her, hadn't it? Keiichi, you didn't kill Irie! This isn't you bestowing a curse on people. But Coach killed himself. He wasn't my... Satoko still hadn't stopped crying, but she seemed to be a little calmer now. Wiping her tears, she stood up.
すまない。
And the only thing I could think of to say to her was an apology.
どうして謝りますの？
Keiichi, maybe you should refrain... maybe you should refrain from saying anything.
俺、昨日、監督と、喧嘩して、お前なんか死んじまえって、呪ったんだ。呪ったから、本当に死んじゃって。
Satoko looked at me dubiously for a few moments. Eventually, her expression softened, as she interpreted my words in her own way.
ケイチさんのせいではありませんわ。監督も大人ですもの。自分の命を捨てるに値する都合があって悩んだ末に選んだんですもの。
Yeah, very well can be true.
誰のせいでもありませんわ。
Or someone killed him. She smiled a little, trying to comfort me.
いつまでもこのままでいたくありませんわ。
Or he went bonkers.
服が欲しい。
いいのかよ。診療所に行って見てもらった方が。
服を着てから見てもらっても別に死にはしませんわ。
Satoko readjusted her bath towel and started back along the path. Oh, Satoko? Her stride was wobbly, and it didn't look like she'd recovered as much as she let on. At first, Satoko tried to go back home, but it was the time of the morning when people were going to school and to work. So after seeing people walking around, she thought better of it. She must have been pretty embarrassed wearing only the towel.
理科のうちに行きますわよ。私の服、あるはずですから。
Alright.
どうしたんですの？ケイチさん。
Satoko noticed how I was hanging my head and spoke to me.
監督はああ見えても大人ですのよ。ケイチさんと喧嘩したくらいで自殺するような人ではありませんわ。
I mean, definitely not.
自分を責めるのをおやしなさいませ。
At first I thought it was a coincidence. But with 3 people now, I couldn't discard the possibility. I mean, nor do I think that Satoko would truly believe you that you put a curse on Irie to die. she probably wouldn't believe such a thing. So, there was no such thing as impossible in this world.
この数日、おかしいんだ。
何がですの？
Satoko seemed to be having trouble breathing, but she still tried to listen to what I had to say.
おとといの綿流しのお祭り、お前は途中で帰ったから行かなかったんだよな。そして俺は祭りに行ってみんなと遊んだ。
らしいですわね。あの時は取り乱して申し訳ありませんでしたわね。
Satoko remembered how she blew up at me in the classroom yesterday, and bowed to me a little.
実は俺、祭りに行っていないって言ったら信じるか？
Satoko looked at me, confused. She couldn't help it, of course. Oh boy. Are we actually gonna confess to Satoko as well here?
信じられるわけありませんわ。何を今さら。
信じられないだろ。信じられないのは、だって俺は祭りに行っていないのに、俺が祭りに現れてみんなと遊んだって言うんだ。こんなの信じられるわけないだろ。
それ本気ですの？
ああ、あの綿流しの夜からおかしいんだ。いつの間にか変な足音がペタペタとついてくるようになって。
The blood drained from Satoko's expression. Huh?
足音がペタペタ。
Is that something familiar to you, Satoko?
そうなんだ。最初は気のせいだと思ってたけど、ずっとついてくるんだ。多分今もついてきてる。
She definitely reacted to it. That means that she's aware of this kind of footstep thing that is happening.
サトコの足音と混じってよく聞き分けられないけれど。
Satoko took a long and hard look at me. Maybe she was doubting my sanity. Coach did the same thing. I mean, why wouldn't he, after telling him this? The more I thought about it, the more I wasn't able to endure the feeling that my hatred for Coach had been meaningless.
綿流しの日、俺は祭りに行かず、あることをしていたんだ。ずっとだぞ。眠ったり、意識がなくなったりしたことはなかった。だから寝ぼけ気分でフラフラと、記憶になく祭りに出かけたなんてことはありえない。
それはおかしいですわね。ならどうやってお祭りで遊んだんですの？
だから俺は祭りには行ってないんだよ。
No, I can't let myself get emotional. If I get agitated now, that'd be like proving that there's something wrong with my head.
あ、ごめん。みんなが信じてくれないんで、つい。
圭一さんがそう言うなら信じてあげますわ。それで？
あの夜、高野さんに会ったんだ。それで見下されたと思って、俺は心の中で念じたんだ。お前なんか死んじまえって。
高野さんってどことなくそういう雰囲気がございますものね。その気持ちわからなくもありませんでしたよ。
高野さんが死んだの、昨日の話だ。どこかで焼け死んだらしい。
それ本当ですの？死んだんですの？
俺が死ねと願うと、次の日には死んでるんだ。それから警察の大石ってやつも知ってるか？あのムカつく太った刑事みたいなやつ。
Satoko nodded a little.
さっき警察が話してるのを聞いたんだが、どうもあいつ実は昨日あいつにも死んじまえって念じてたんだ。
それ本当の話ですの？
嘘じゃない。俺だって信じたくないけど本当の話なんだ。高野さんも監督も大石も俺が死ねと念じたら 本当に死んでしまったんだ。
For a little while, Satoko was at a loss. A long silence ensued.
それは怖い話ですわね。圭一さんにせめて嫌われないように気をつけませんと。
Yeah, I know, right?
それだけじゃない。もっとおかしいこともあるんだ。それはお前のおじなんだ。
Oh boy. Here we go.
おじさまの話はやめてくださいましな。
昨日いたんだろ、お前の家に。
あの人の話はやめてくださいます。嫌なんですの。
ありえないんだ。あいつがいるわけがないんだ。
やめてって言ってますのよ。
あの男が綿流しの夜以降いるわけがないんだ。だって
あの男のことはもう嫌なんですの。
俺が殺したんだ、この手で。
Even the cicadas stopped crying. Her face was streaked with tears, and it stiffened even more as she looked at me in disbelief.
俺が綿流しの祭りの夜にお前の叔父を殺したんだ。だからお前の家に帰ってくるなんてことはありえないんだ。
But still, he went back. Last night, he found fault with the dinner you made him, yelled all sorts of things at you, and then basically boiled you in the bathtub. That couldn't possibly have happened.
だから俺はあの男を確かに殺したという証拠を確かめるために。だがそこには死体はなかった。こんなことがあり得ると思うか。確かに殺したのに死体がないんだ。そして何事もなかったかのように帰宅してお前の前に。こんなことがあっていいはずないだろう。
Satoko's entire body stiffened. She was shrinking away, like there was someone in front of her, about to hurt her. Okay. Let's see how she's gonna react to this.
お前も俺のこと頭が変になったって思ってるんだろうな。無理もないさ。俺だって信じられない。
圭一さんはきっと空前呪った人が死んでしまったんで混乱してるだけに違いありませんわ。監督の自殺にショックを受けて気が動転してるだけなんですのよ。今日はもう学校を休んでお家で休んだ方がよろしいと思いますわ。私はもう平気ですから、どうかご自分の体を大事になさいまし。
Satoko spoke like she understood me, but she also told me to go home. I could see the revulsion in her face. I knew that she didn't want to be around me anymore.
サトコをちゃんと診療所まで見送ったら俺も帰る。サトコだってまだ足元がフラフラじゃないか。途中で倒れたら大変だぞ。
私はもう本当に大丈夫なんですのよ。男の人にいつまでもこんな姿を晒していたくないんですのよ。
She wobbled up the shrine steps, looking like she was about to fall. I immediately ran up to her and helped her stay on her feet. But then Satoko promptly jumped away from me. That outright rejection hurt a lot. When she got to the top of the stairs, her breathing was ragged, and she wasn't even looking at me. At this point, I was being ignored. Well, it was more like she didn't want to have anything to do with me. It really was a feeling of rejection. Like, what? Like, what is she even thinking right now? Is she thinking that Keiichi went complete bonkers because she still thinks that Teppei is still alive? Because of possibly her fucked up mind that makes her think that Teppei is still there? Or could it be that she does think that Teppei is dead, and yet doesn't want to believe that Teppei is the one who did it? Now she's scared about her mind because of this. Or maybe she never wanted Teppei to be dead, like, at all, because she wanted to continue the trial of punishment. And now that Teppei is dead, she can no longer continue it the way she wanted. Like, which one is it? What is going on in your mind, Satoko? And that hurt my heart more than any blade could have. This is the path I chose for her sake. To be treated like this at the end of it all was just so saddening. Don't be naive, Keiichi, my brother. You never wanted to be repaid in the first place. You didn't do it so that Satoko would thank you. Yeah, so Satoko would be happy. And that was what led to this ending. Rika-chan's house was a disaster prevention storehouse used by the town council. If you went past it, a little further through the shrine grounds, you'd apparently reach the back of the assembly hall. Satoko was heading there, walking quickly, the gravel under her feet crunching as she went. Did she want to get there as soon as possible, or did she want to run away? I couldn't tell. And then I heard the vigorous sound of wings flapping. Wings. I turned around and saw a crow. Oh, hello there, crow. I guess a part of me was thinking that it was either a cicada or, heck, maybe even a butterfly, like a golden butterfly. Which would signify death, but this isn't Imineko, so yeah. I hadn't seen many crows since coming to Hinamizawa. I saw them a lot in my old town, though. On garbage day, they'd flock to trash collection points, pick through the bags with their beaks, drag out the contents, and have a feast. As I was remembering that, I saw a few crows fucking around the shrine's donation box. And I thought how terrible it was for someone to leave a garbage bag in a place like that. Oh my god. Don't tell me that there is another corpse there, and they're feasting on it. The cicadas quieted. Breathing stopped. Thoughts ceased. Even time came to a halt. I ran over to where the crows were flocking. I ran there in order to drive a horrible idea out of my mind. I definitely had wanted this. There's no way I would ever wish for this even by mistake. This was not. No. What? When they noticed my vicious approach, the crows all flapped upwards, fleeing into the sky. When the crows' big black bodies flew away, they exposed the garbage bag. What did I see in there? The scream had escaped from my throat before I understood what I was looking at. What was this? Satoko came over as well, realizing something had happened. And she looked over my shoulder. Then she screamed as well. This wasn't... The garbage bag was crimson, dyed in her flesh blood. Enough of this stupid roundabout way of saying it. That's right. Yes. It was... Rika-chan. Our friend. Satoko's best friend. Always easygoing, clever as a cat, but so cute you couldn't hate her. Our friend. Rika-chan. She was... Rika-chan was stark naked. She was face up, limbs sprawled. Her eyes were like glass, just staring up into the sky. And...
Rika! Rika! Rika!
Satoko broke down crying on the spot. And yet, she still couldn't approach her friends' remains. The crows had gone through the garbage bag and dragged, well, they dragged out an apple peel and spread it all over him. No, nah, crows, they couldn't do this. On the spot, I started vomiting. The sour taste became a bitter one as I threw up over and over again. Rika-chan, her stomach was cut wide open, vertically, completely open. Crows couldn't have done this. And from her open stomach, ugh, her organs, her bowels were dragged out, like children's toys left all over the floor. What the fuck? Like who? Who could have done such a thing? I just did. That unbelievable sight induced oxygen deprivation in my brain. Color left my vision, a pounding headache, dizzy, and I wanted to vomit. It was like the nightmarish remains of a ceremonial killing. Somewhere, someone, somewhere had killed Rika-chan, brought her here, laid her here with her limbs sprawled out, and then cut open her stomach and checked out her intestines. Red and pink viscera were sticking out of her gut, and her intestines were scattered in every direction like it had been for fun. The entire ground was covered in an ocean of red and black. A few of the crows had hopped around inside that ocean. They walked through the sea of blood, leaving bloody footprints. And those footprints, there were several still left on Rika-chan's body. Those sinister prints, and it seemed even more like a bizarre ritual killing. I may have wished for Takano-san and Koichi and Oishi to die, but I didn't remember ever wishing for Rika-chan's death.
そうさ、俺じゃない、俺じゃない、俺じゃない。
I stumbled backwards, and then stepped on a newspaper. Uh-oh. That's the hatchet. A newspaper? In a place like this? The newspaper was what was covering my hatchet. I kept it wrapped up and on my belt in order to carry Satoko. And that newspaper had fallen off. Sheesh, don't scare me like that. Oh my god. Imagine if Keiichi just, fell backwards and hit himself on the hatchet and it would stabbed him. I bent down to pick it up. And then Satoko looked at me with such disbelief as I'd never seen, and froze. Well, I get the feeling that if Satoko didn't believe that Keiichi would be a murderer, now she is. Whether she thinks that now he truly killed Teppei, or he's the one responsible for killing Rika, or anything like that. Now Satoko is scared out of her mind. She was looking straight at me, at the hatchet on my belt.
落ち着け、サトコ。これは違うぞ。
Satoko, trembling madly, backed away.
俺じゃない。俺じゃないんだ。俺じゃ。
人殺し。
Oh my god. Like her saying that word murder like that, it tears me up. She didn't care at all that she was exposing herself through the towel. She just trembled and tried to step back from the demon in front of her.
サトコ、落ち着いてくれ。頼むから、冷静になってくれ。サト。
Screaming weakly, Satoko began to run, unsteadily. Run away, that is.
待ってくれ、サトコ。違うんだ。違うんだ。
The way she ran away, it was so weak, so slow. So if I wanted to go after her, I could have caught up. But if I tried to grab Satoko's shoulder or something right now, she might actually go crazy. The happy smile that we wanted in the end, no. This is clearly the opposite of what you wanted, Keiichi. I guess this is how it's gonna end. So I had to follow her and try and clear this up.
高野さんを殺して、監督を殺して、大石さんも殺したんでございましょう。おじさまを殺そうとして、リカまで人殺し。違う。
Rika was definitely not part of this. And he definitely didn't kill Takano, Coach, or Oishi. Teppei, well, that's a different story, but definitely not Rika.
俺じゃない。俺は殺してなんかいない。
何を言ってるんですの？あなたさっき自分で言ったじゃありませんの。死ねって、死んでしまえって。それでみんな死んでしまったんでしょ？
俺はその。
But that's a completely different story for Rika. Like, we would never think of death for her.
死ねって思っただけで別に。
自分で何をしたか記憶に残っていないんでございましょう。そんな人の話なんか信用できるわけありませんわ。人を殺した時の記憶が欠落してるだけなんじゃありませんの。いや、記憶がないふりをしてるだけなんじゃありませんの。第一、そのナタは何なんですのよ。説明してごらんなさいな。
これは。
Oh, there's no denying it that it was for Teppei. But he was the only one that Keiichi truly wanted to kill. Only him, that's it. Like, him wishing death upon Takano and Oishi and Irie, it was all because of stress and being caught. Like, in the action. That he was being caught of being a killer and betrayed and all that. He didn't actually kill them. Only Teppei.
ほら、ケイイチさんは殺人鬼じゃありませんの。どうしてですの？ちょっと意地悪だったけど、楽しくて、優しい。一度は本当のニーニーかもしれないとまで思ったのに。どうしてそんな風になってしまったんですの？
I might have been able to slowly answer each one of Satoko's questions at a time. But in this situation, explaining my innocence in such a short period of time was impossible. I mean, I didn't even know if I was really innocent anyway. At the very least, I killed Satoko's uncle. There was no body, but I killed him. Without a doubt. At that point, I was far from innocent. And I wish Takano-san, Coach, and Oishi were dead. And that curse of mine was granted. When I wished for Takano-san to die, I didn't think of it as anything more than a normal thing you'd say to someone you didn't like. But then she actually did die. And I realized that if I wanted people to die, then they would. And hoping it would happen again, I cursed Coach and Oishi to the same fate. So even ignoring Takano-san's death, Coach and Oishi's were completely premeditated crimes. Was I a killer? Just like Satoko said? Was I unable to distinguish between illusion and reality and turn into a demon without remembering it? Becoming a killer who carried Oyashiro-sama's curse? No, that couldn't be. It was impossible. Damn it. The very word impossible was impossible in Hinamizawa right now. I mean, let's think of it this way. Let's say that Keiichi went completely bonkers and he doesn't even remember killing. Irie? Maybe. Takano? No. He was too tired that night after burying Teppei to even go for a second murder that night. It's impossible physically for Keiichi to have done it. As for Oishi? Like, when? Oishi was not alone with Keiichi in the forest. There were like a fuckload of police people like there. There was no way for Keiichi to have done anything to Oishi. For him to have disappeared or anything like that. No! He couldn't have been. How many freaking times have I said that word these past 3 days? Satoko started crying again and was walking unsteadily. At first, it felt like she was still running, but now it was like she was walking away crying for someone bullying her.
どうしてこんなことになってしまったんですの？どうして
If there was an answer to that, then I wanted to know it too. Why? Why had it turned out like this?
ニーがいなくなってずっと寂しかったけど、ケイイチさんが転校してきてくれて、またみんな明るくなって、楽しくなって、毎日が光ってたのに。
Yeah, she was right. Those days were bright and beautiful. And yet, after that, Satoko and I shouted the exact same thing.
どうしてこんなことに。
How did it turn out like this? The Sakai's were sneering at the spectacle. Our strange game of tag. Shut up. Eventually, I heard the murmuring of a stream. The forest parted, and a suspension bridge appeared. Satoko was crossing dangerously, wobbling as though she might fall at any moment. And when I stepped onto the bridge, it swayed a lot, causing Satoko to stagger and fall on the spot. Oh god, please, don't do this to me.
大丈夫か、Satoko?
I don't want to hear like any other death right here. Please don't. Satoko, please. Don't think of anything stupid here.
近寄らないで！この人殺し！
Satoko shouted, her hatred made very clear. It's sad. If words could cut, and then this one flowing through my eyes would have been blood for sure.
どうしてこうなってしまったんですの？ケイイチさんのこと大好きだったのに。
I wanted to go up to her and give her a hand, but the distance between us wasn't crossable. If I got any closer, Satoko would start shouting again and say things that would hurt me deeply again. So I couldn't approach any closer than this.
Satoko, 俺にもなんでこうなったかわからないんだ。でもこれだけは言える。リカちゃんを殺したのは俺じゃないんだ。それだけは絶対に。
いい加減なこと言わないでほしいですわ。自分の記憶にも自信が持てない人が何を言ったってどう信じればいいって言うんですの。
I tightened my hands into fists. This was mortifying. I wasn't crazy. Hinamizawa was crazy. Ever since I wandered into it, lost, on that one night. This insane world, where I was at the festival when I wasn't, and the uncle I killed was alive, where death would come just by wishing for it. It was this world's fault. Mion and Rena started acting strangely, like they were possessed by something too. And Coach wouldn't believe anything I had to say. And even Satoko, who I should have protected, was yelling at me like this. Was the price for killing a man supposed to be this high? Was I really going to be forced to stay in such a bitter world? I did the right thing. At least I wanted to. So then, why? I hated it. Every time I asked why, the days Satoko and I enjoyed in peace went so wrong.
サトコ、信じてくれ。俺は人殺しじゃない。
では、そのナタは何なんですの？納得のいく説明はできまして。
このナタが怖いのか。じゃあ捨てるよ。それなら安心だろ。
Satoko did not, but she seemed to be in agreement with that proposition. I clumsily took the hatchet out of my belt, then dropped it over the side of the bridge into the stream below.
捨てたぞ。これで話を聞いてくれるな。
武器を捨てたぐらいで気を許すと思いまして。圭一さんほどの方なら私を素手で絞め殺すなんて簡単でしょうに。
He would never, like hell I would, ever want to kill Satoko. You idiot.
じゃあどうしたらいい？両手を頭の上で組んだらいいか？
そうですわね。両手を頭の上で組んで後ろを向いてくださいます。
It was a cutting plan, much like the ones she used during club activities. Putting my hands on my head and turning away would mean I couldn't attack Satoko very easily. I immediately acquiesced to her request. Since it would make her feel better.
これでいいか？俺の話を聞いてくれ。
Satoko stood up and carefully approached me from behind. And then she actually came right up behind me. She was so close, and yet I was so sad that I wasn't allowed to turn around.
圭一さんが悪くないのはなんとなくうすうす分かっていましたわ。
え？
多分あなたは何か悪いものに乗り移られただけなんですの。さっきまでは圭一さんが殺人鬼なんだと思ってたけど、私分かりましたの。あなたの目を見ていたら。
I could hear that Satoko was still crying, but her voice was gentle just the same.
圭一さんが人殺しなんかするわけがない。圭一さんの体を何か悪いものが乗っ取って悪事に駆り立てただけ。
Was she speaking literally right now? Or was she trying to admonish me? I couldn't tell.
思えばひょっとするとあの人たちも圭一さんと同じものに乗り移られていたのかもしれない。あの時は殺されるとしか思わなかったから、そこまでは考えが及ばなかったけど、今ならわかる。あれは乗り移った何か悪いものの仕業だった。
サトコ、何の話だ？
It was like she was talking to me. More like she was talking to herself. Like she was confessing at my back.
わかってるんですの。私、身に覚えがないわけじゃないんですのよ。
Satoko's voice started to become mixed with sobs. Her pained voice tore at my heart. But I didn't know what Satoko was talking about. Now you can definitely sense it too. Like the footsteps and all the stuff that is happening to you in similar fashion to Keiichi, don't you?
西宮殿の屋根によじ登ったことがありますの。何年も前のことですわ。
Once, when Satoko was playing hide and seek at the shrine grounds, she climbed onto the roof of the storehouse for ritual implements, which everyone said not to go near, and hid. Then Satoko saw that she could get in through a window meant for ventilation. For Satoko, the word curse was plenty scary, but she was more curious about what was inside the unknown storehouse. Oh! It could very well be that was Satoko, who was inside the storehouse with us in chapter 2. It was said that she went missing for a little bit during the festival while Keiichi was inside, and we definitely heard noises inside the storehouse. That could have very well have been Satoko. She couldn't have gone through the front entrance, so she went through the roof. She removed the grating on the window, which was already hanging off, slid her small body into it, and climbed down inside. It was too dark to see much, but after descending, she realized just how high up she'd been. Despite the darkness, she could see a few things around her thanks to the faint light coming in from the air window. And to her disappointment, it was just a regular old storehouse. She tried to leave, but the door was locked up tight from the outside. It was made not to open from within. She would have to go back out through the ventilation window she'd come in from. But the window was high on the wall, and there was no way she would be able to climb back up. Satoko desperately tried not to cry, and racked her brain thinking of a way to get up there. There were a lot of birdcage-looking things hanging by chains from the ceiling. She took the hanging chains and strung them along the wall. If she climbed up the bundle of chains, she might be able to manage to climb up to the ventilation window. But nonetheless, what is this story? It was like a couple of years ago? What does this have anything to do with current events? There was nothing else she could do, so she had to try. And try she did. It was dark and creepy, and she didn't want to stay there forever. The more she thought about that, the more she panicked. She climbed the bundle of chains. Satoko could hear the clinks and clangs of everything creaking under her weight. And then, just as her hand reached the window, one of the metal fixtures she used to stick the chains on the wall flew off, and the chains all began to pull loudly and fiercely every which way. Spurred on by the sounds behind her, she managed to get back onto the roof from the window. Because of the weight of the flaying bundle of chains, the other fixtures broke. And then one of the big bird cages hanging from the ceiling fell to the floor with a huge noise. Under it was an image of Oyashiro-sama, his vessel, and the cage took off one of the arms, then trapped some of other implements beneath it. It didn't take very long for her to grow scared of what she'd done. The deafening noise could be heard from the rest of the shrine grounds. A few other children heard it and gathered around. And of course, Rika was one of them. Then Rika's father, the shrine's priest, with an angry look, ran over. And then, as for what happened next, it was painful to remember. Oh my god, don't tell me that you're guilt-tripping yourself into thinking that it was because of you that Rika's father died. That it was Oyashiro bestowing the curse on people. The only one who knew where Rika's parents kept the key to the ritual storehouse was Rika. So he scolded her, saying that this happened because Rika pulled a prank and hid me in there. He was very angry and menacing. Just looking at him was enough to frighten anyone. He exposed Rika's back, took a strangely shaped virtual cane or something, and struck her with it several times. Oh my god. Rika's words at the time. He wasn't me. He wasn't me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That pitiful voice. I still can't get it out of my head. I should have said it was me. I should have said so, to save my best friend from that false accusation, without being afraid of Rika's father's terrible temper. Rika gritted her teeth and cried, at the crying she didn't remember doing. Ever since then, the world had been strange.
わかってるんですの、私には。これは、お社様のたたりだって。あの時、最後伝を怪我して、親友を見捨てた私への天罰だって。
お社様のたたり。
父も母も、濁流に消えた。意地悪だったおばも死んだけど、誰よりも私を可愛がってくれたニーニーも、私を捨てて、家出してしまった。そして、圭一さんが転校してきて、やっと楽しい毎日が戻ってきたと思ったのに、今度は、圭一さんが取り憑かれて、リカも殺されて。聞いたの私。お社様は、本当にたたりをなすときは、本人をすぐに殺さないんだって。親しい人から順に殺して、みんな殺してから、最後に殺すんだって。だから、圭一さんもたたりにやられて。きっと、今度はレナさんやミオンさんがたたられてしまうんですわ。そして、殺したり、殺されたり。もう嫌。
落ち着けよ、サトコ。たたりなんかない。誰もお前をいじめたりなんかしないって。
When I turned around, I was thrust away with amazing force. Given my hands were awkwardly placed on my head, I couldn't take the fall and lost my balance. And I'd been pushed not into the bridge, but to the side. Oh my god. Towards the stream. Oh god. No, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. There's one last miracle. I was allowed to grab a cord hanging from the bridge. Far below me was the stream. We were pretty high up, and below were rocks of all sizes. If I fell, it clearly wouldn't be pretty. The entire bridge was tilting under my body weight. I fell out of grip probably wouldn't last another minute before my fingers had to let go.
Satoko! Satoko!
You gotta be kidding me, Satoko. I didn't understand myself, what I meant by shouting her name then. Was I asking her to save me? What was I asking her why she did this? Finally, Yuri came back into focus, and I saw Satoko. I was surprised at what an odd expression she had. It was the first time I'd seen it. It was an expression of righteous anger meant only for those who needed to die. Well, now that she thinks that you're possessed by a demon, of course she would, I guess. Oh my god. As she screamed, she jerked the bridge to and fro. She didn't have to do that. I was going to fall anyway.
私はお前なんかには負けないんですのよ。たたりなんかに負けてたまるもんですか。お前になんか絶対に負けない。みんなを奪ったお前に絶対に負けたりなんかしない。
サトコ、これだけは聞いてくれ。
I don't know what my face looked like at the time, but It seemed like it was enough to quell Satoko's agitation.
俺のしたことは確かに褒められるものじゃない。いや、いけないことだったかもしれない。だけどお前に幸せになってほしくってしたことだったんだ。
That is 100% fact, Satoko. That is where it all started.
それだけは信じてくれ。
こいつ最後の最後でケイチさんのふりを。
That is truly what Keiichi thinks, Satoko. Please. Satoko didn't seem to have any more desire to listen to what I had to say. And for that to happen at the very end like this was tragic.
お前に褒められたくてやったわけじゃなかった。お前に幸せになってさえもらえればよかった。俺たちはダメなんだ。お前が笑っていないとダメなんだ。だから俺が消えたら笑ってくれ。俺が死ぬことで新しい生活を迎えたならきっと笑ってくれ。
Can we not go out like this, Keiichi? Please. You don't have to die here, god damn it.
それだけ約束してくれないか。
喋るな。ケイチさんの口調で喋るな。おじろ落ちてしまえ。
And those were the last words Satoko ever said to me. Those sad, tragic, and altogether unrewarding words. What on earth was I? My desire to make Satoko happy ended up like this. Where did I first go wrong? And what was the mistake I made? When did I make it? Was I the crazy one? Or was it Hinamizawa? Even after all this, I thought I wasn't crazy at all. It was this eerie world that was crazy, and this world I'd accidentally wandered into that one night. Because in that fun world, where I never doubted all the crazy times we had as a club would go on forever, it couldn't possibly have transformed into such an abnormal world. In that fun world, wouldn't have ever ended with this, with Satoko pushing me into my death. In the end, I was going to be swallowed up by this crazy world and disappear. No, I probably already disappeared. Yes, probably on the night of Watanagashi. I'm sure that in the world I really belonged to, I had vanished that night, and everyone was worried. It was laughable that I had taken this long to figure out I wasn't around anymore. Yashiro-sama's curse on the 5th year, and Satoko's uncle dying and me disappearing. In the real world, Satoko had already been freed. Maybe my friends were all lamenting my disappearance, and valiantly trying to get back on their feet. And, even though they were down to 4 people, the club would reopen, and they would have a good time without me. Waiting for the day when I would come back. I'm sorry, everyone. I couldn't come back home. But this is what I wished for. It was my wish for Satoko's smile, and my duty as her nini. At this point, there will be nobody left to torture you, because Satoshi and I, it took 2 years, but we succeeded. That annoying, toothy smile of yours, we wanted to see it one more time. My pain wasn't gentle or merciful. It was a sharp pain, violent, powerful, and ruthless. What little compassion I had receded in the span of a moment. And now I could die. I could say goodbye to this insane world. Alright, well, I guess so. See you next time, Keiichi Maibara. This is surely the most fucked up ending that I've seen so far. Farewell, crazed Hinamizawa. Thanks for giving me the psychic power to kill people whenever I want it. If you'll still allow it, I'll wish for one last thing. The death of this very world, of this crazed Hinamizawa, so that nobody would ever again have to find themselves lost here again.